Hello, everyone, and welcome to our second seminar, Fugitive Word Seminar of 2022. And today we are welcoming Vineet Kumar, who teaches media and literature at the Dr. Ambedkar College of the Delhi University. He is a prolific writer and commentator on media and popular culture in India, on virtual space. He's been a panelist on NDTV India, and he has authored Mandi Mein Media, Market Media Nexus, and Ishq Koi News Nahin a few years back, which is an anthology on Facebook fiction. He has been working collaboratively with Francesca Orsini, a research team member, and they have just released a book in which he's got a contribution. The book is called English Live, Language Mixing Across the Media, really fresh off the press. So welcome, Vineet. Vineet is our research associate, and he will be working on social media, and today he'll be speaking about satire. Welcome, and go right ahead.
Many thanks, Anastasia, for inviting me to be the speaker in the presentation series. It's a matter of great honor for me. I'm very excited that I'll do some better research work on social media, political satire, and complaints on this pretext in the future. However, I want to add one thing in hesitation. Today, my presentation must be not like any profound social media scholar. It's a very elementary level of exercise where I have tried to include some of its traits and trends only. For the last few years as a social media practitioner, I have used the term, usually I use the term prosumer, who a person who is super active on social media. Whatever I've experienced, observed the material being written and shared here, I'll try to make my point based on these content. So I expect you to stay with us for the next 2 hours with the least expectation. Yes, undoubtedly, I'll try to analyze the theory related to social media, political satire, and complaints based on these in coming days. In the context of political satire and complaints, my presentation is Facebook centric. So almost all the examples and references will be related to Facebook content, which I'll try to look at from 4 different angles. The first one is Facebook as a Chaupal. Why I use the Chaupal or Chaupal for Facebook, though Facebook is a global platform. And the second one is vocabulary and phraseology to be used. Third one is different genres of satirical content and expression. And fourth one is changing patterns. We simultaneously maintain our presence in the public sphere with dual citizenship in the present era. We have got one from our constitutional provision, and the second one due to the availability of high-speed internet. In a democratic setup like India, people who can afford devices like mobile phones, laptops, or computers with the internet facilities can take advantage of dual citizenship. Here we can call it democracy of data pack or data pack democracy. For the for the convenience of further discussion, I'll use the term data pack democracy. Perhaps Robin Jaffrey in 2013 has already coined the term cell phone nation for this country. So let me share the PPT or the slide so that is it visible now?
Yes, it is for me.
Okay, thank you. However, there is a fundamental difference between democracy and data-packed democracy at many levels. It is also fascinating that the winner in democracy, which could be considered as real democracy or democracy, feels loser in data-packed democracy or on virtual space many times. And one who is a loser in democracy or opposition feel winner in the in the democracy of data pack or data pack democracy. In a way, both of them work as a complement and competition to each other, where people are simultaneously in the role of netizen, opposition, supporter of the ruling party, etc., etc. Interestingly, the technical terminology I am using here in the social media world has different terminology for them. Similarly, there is a different terminology for the ruling party and individuals. The opposition party and the people associated with them have their own words or vocabulary. I'll just discuss, I'll unfold some of those vocabulary, that how these vocabulary become so popular and are frequently used in on social media platforms. It is essential to add one more thing here, that this democracy of data pack has many places. Twitter, Instagram, WhatsApp, and Facebook are much popular. These citizens have their vocabulary, practices, and characteristics determined by technical convenience and traffic. Here, we'll be focusing the entire conversation on Facebook, what I already said earlier. Yes, it is of course that in many cases, the movement of people and their related content remains on each other's platform, despite the clear separation of technical and commercial levels. So it's a kind of free flow game when it comes on social media, right? Although Facebook is a global platform, on the principle of algorithm on which it works, the mood of which, the kind of content it starts viewing and sharing, its democracy starts becoming according to that. In such a situation, the public domain that appears when viewing, sharing, and reproducing content related to media, politics, democracy, and citizens in Hindi is fascinating in terms of political satire and complaints. It goes on in much the same way as the talks at village town Chaupal. In such a situation, the purpose of calling it Facebook Chaupal is that version of Facebook and its content is local and urban in terms of content, language, and behavior, which is different from its global identity. So here, let me share a couple of things. As I said, data pack democracy, why I use this term. So every year, or on the occasion of electoral politics, mainstream media publish the viewership, the number of followers with a specific space on newspaper. Prime time television channels discuss the followers of these prominent personalities or the political leaders icon. And according to the number, they try to establish that this particular political personality is going to win the election or will impact on that. So data pack democracy, into the data pack democracy, only those people are considered which have the facility of high speed internet, and with they could access the laptop, mobile phones, or they are a part of digital India, right? In the present era, we simultaneously maintain our, sorry. So, although there's something missing, right? And one more thing, I just talk about prosumer of data packed democracy. So who could be considered as a prosumer? A prosumer is basically an embedded form of a citizen and netizen who not only consumes digital contents passively, but produces or reproduces them in his own way. Just take an example. पेट्रोल के दाम कम हुए कि नहीं हुए? डीजल के दाम कम हुए कि नहीं हुए? आपके जेब में थोड़ा बहुत पैसा बचने लगा कि नहीं बचने लगा? आपका फायदा हुआ कि नहीं हुआ? So the audio which is coming through this video clip is a part of a speech which has been delivered by Narendra Modi, the Prime Minister of this country, and the face of Bharatiya Janata Party. Some of the screenshots which I have included in this particular slide, how consumer acts, what kind of traits they have. So basically, if you have the idea of a Chaupal, you will find that on Chaupal, people discuss about so many things. They discuss about marriage, they discuss about relationship, they discuss about family. But the basic staple food of those discussions are political issues. And they have the capability to convert each and every content into political content. So the same thing happens when it comes on Facebook Chaupal. I'll just give you the example. Pankaj Misra, I think something is maybe not visible because these are screenshots, and later on I'll develop into an independent content. I'll type all these things with a big font. So anyway, Pankaj Misra, on the occasion of Diwali, has written Happy Diwali, and he has added a image of 15 lakh. You could see, you could see easily 15 lakh. Why 15 lakh, not 20 lakh? I'll tell you later on. The same thing, Sushant Sinha is a well-known face of Indian television channel, news channel, and he's the consulting editor of Nav Bharat, is the sister channel venture of Vineet Kumar. Here he has used the term 56 inch with a satirical expression. And Ram Kumar Singh is one of the most popular filmmaker or scriptwriter, has posted this Twitter with the status लड़के को लगे सदमे का उदाहरण, medical help दो इसे, counseling करवाओ. Why he has written such words or sentence? It is only because of that. So Sushant Sinha is known as a follower of Narendra Modi, and all the time he writes in favor of Narendra Modi and BJP government. But when BJP government withdraw farmer bill, only on that particular time he has tweeted, it seems that he is against BJP or Narendra Modi. So if a prosumer here as a prosumer acts as a citizen, netizen, fan, followers, supporter, critic, or admirer. I'm not sure that whatever the contents are coming on Facebook could be considered as satire, because the classical definition of satire is completely different from the content which are coming on Facebook. So that's why here I use everyday satire. Later on, we'll look into the theories, we'll look into the classical content, and then we'll find that is it possible to consider these contents as a satire or not? So I have just here used the term everyday satire. And it's the everyday 24/7 production pattern, production process, where each and every content could be converted into a satirical expression or political complaints. I'll just give you some of the examples. So everyday satire consists 360-degree content. It doesn't matter that the content or the issue is related to the politics or not. It could be converted into politics. Here a person is writing about jam, yeah? And Kisan jam is very popular among Indian consumers. But he is writing Kisan jam with a smiley. It simply means he is not talking only about Kisan jam, he is talking about Kisan Jam, which is related to the withdrawal of Kisan Bill. That's why he has added the image of Prime Minister Narendra Modi with his mother, right? At the same time, uh, Padmavati is one of the most controversial Bollywood film. It was not controversial actually. Somehow it has been converted into a controversy. So reaction of Indians in 4 years, Modi government respectively. The first one, I'll just zoom in the image. Now it is visible a little bit better than earlier. The first one, the second one, the third one, and the last one. Here someone is talking about petrol price, but he has related the issue of hike of petrol price with cricket. मैंने अकेले पूरी टीम मिलकर 20 ओवर में 100 रन नहीं बना पाती, मैंने अकेले पेट्रोल 120 पहुंचा दिया. Recently, in Uttar Pradesh and as larger part of Bihar, a student and applicant of railway board examination, they have protested against the Indian railway behavior and what railway board is doing for last few years. And the police of Uttar Pradesh has brutally treated them. In spite of that, a Facebook prosumer is writing with this caption. मोदी जी को धन्यवाद कहना कि मैं तिलकधारी हिंदू बेरोजगार छात्र पुलिस की मार खाने के बाद भी जिंदा लौटा. So it's not only about the protest, it's not about Uttar Pradesh police only. It's very much related to the statement which was made by the Prime Minister Narendra Modi when he visited Punjab and said, please say to your chief minister that I came back safely. Some more example I'll just mention here. These are the presumers. Presumers simply means that earlier mainstream media, it was a pattern that mainstream media will deliver the content and the audience and audience, readers or viewers or listener, they will consume all those content passively. But on social media, on Facebook, people will not receive or consume all those content passively. They will alter, they will make some memes, the mess ups, or either they will write something once they post a meme or images, photos or visual, whatever. So here M is equal to B2. Mitro is equal to bhaiyon into behno. Recently, Kejriwal government in Delhi has released posters, hoardings cut out in Delhi, and he was very much interested, the government was very much interested to take the whole credit of vaccine, COVID vaccine. But once it came into the public, some of the prosumer altered or mobbed those images, and now you could see how vaccine lagwai kya has been converted into a satirical expression when someone has added one more line, जो दिल्ली को मोदी जी मुफ्त दे रहे हैं. So earlier it was only vaccine लगवाई क्या, and now it is जो दिल्ली को मोदी जी मुफ्त दे रहे हैं. Akhilesh Yadav, the Samajwadi Party supremo, earlier declared that vaccine, he was not pretty sure that this vaccine will work or not. So he was more or less against the vaccination. But after that, when he took vaccine, and a journalist, a budding journalist, has written that said that it has come from WhatsApp. And WhatsApp in India is very much popular as WhatsApp University. Ravish Kumar, the prominent face of Indian television, Indian news channels, has used this term WhatsApp University. Personally, I don't agree such terminology. I don't want to go into detail that right now. But here he has posted an image or a mobbed image with the expression of meme, Akhilesh Yadav after taking BJP vaccine. Right. So when he took the vaccine, the color of his attire changed, which is similar to Yogi Adityanath, Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh. Some of reverse pattern of satire. So some of the content which come on Facebook, prosumer just they post the old tweets or the Facebook or Twitter status or content, and they write something. Sometimes they don't write anything, just they put a smiley or emoji. And those contents were posted by this personality, political personality, 6-7 years earlier. So in 2013, Narendra Modi talked about price hike and how Congress is responsible for it. Gaurav Arya has posted this old tweet with the caption, with the post, Durdrashta Pradhan Mantri, unki kahi baat aaj bhi maujood hai. So in 2013, when Narendra Modi posted the tweet, it was a part of serious comment, but now it has been converted into a satirical expression. There are countless examples could be accessed here, but I'll just I'm interested more about to discuss on with everyday jumlas or everyday words which are used frequently on social media platforms on Facebook. So I have made a list. I'll just read those words, and then after I'll try to analyze, try to discuss into detail some of them only. So these are the words. Words are mostly in Hindi. Some of are in English, and these are the words. Then after I'll mention some more catchphrases or expressions. कड़ी निंदा बड़ा होगा, पेन किलर, टेलीप्रॉम्प्टर, टोटी, टूएबी, गैस, पप्पू, चौकीदार, भक्त, विकास, अच्छे दिन, आलू, सोना, बाबा, सिकुलर, इट्स नॉट सेक्युलर, क्रोनोलॉजी, मन की बात, मंकी बात, झोला, फकीर, साहेब, डबल इंजन, पकौड़ा, दुग्गल साहब, गैस से चाय, चाय वाला, पुराना खाता, बी टीम, फेकू, फ्री बिजली, मफलर मैन, आलू सोना, परिवारवाद, सूट बूट की सरकार, मित्रों, भाइयों और बहनों, वॉशिंग मशीन, चाय पे चर्चा, मुझे ड्रग्स दो, जुमला, धरना. तोता, केंचुआ, बक्कल, सड़जी, सड़जी नॉट सरजी, हमारी सेना, 56 इंच, 15 लाख, तिहाड़ी, पतले पिन का चार्जर, विश्व गुरु, बक्कल तार देंगे, शमशान कब्रिस्तान, 80-20, 80-20, एयर स्ट्राइक, मास्टर स्ट्रोक, जीरो टॉलरेंस, जेसीबी, डील, मौसम वैज्ञानिक, अस्त्रालय, लोटा, चिंतन शिविर, विश्व गुरु, गुरुजी, नफरती चिंटू, तड़ीपार, आदर्श लिबरल, आइडियल लिबरल, पंक्चर, बिरयानी गैंग, लिब्रांडो, 70 साल, राष्ट्रहित सर्वोपरि, गद्दार, जूसर. These are the words which are frequently used on social media, on Facebook, and along with these words, some of the expressions, everyday jumlas, and prosumers are trying to convert those serious words or expressions into a catchphrases. So these catchphrases are हमारी सेना, सब मिले हुए हैं जी, आएगा तो कुछ बड़ा होगा, नेहरू जिम्मेदार है, नेहरू में लाख बुराई थी, रावण में लाख बुराई थी, मेरा मोदी को कुछ मत बोलना, इस सज्जन को क्या तकलीफ है भाई, अच्छे दिन आएंगे, पाकिस्तान का हाथ है, टुकड़े टुकड़े गैंग, बिरयानी गैंग, जनता ने मन बना लिया है, जनता के टैक्स का, हमारे जवान सीमा पर लड़ रहे हैं, मंदिर तो वही बन रहा है, कागज नहीं दिखाएंगे, हाउ इज जोश. So these are the words, these are the expressions. When you will look into detail, you will find these words, these expressions were used by all those institutions, by all those personalities who are involved in serious political business. And I'll give you some examples here. So the word bhakt, devotee, in Srimad Bhagavad Mahapuran, there is a concept of Nabdha Bhakti. 9 different forms of bhakti. Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Pad Sevanam, Archanam, Bandanam, Dasya, Sankhya Atma Nivedanam. When you will think over this shloka seriously, you will find out of 9 forms of bhakti, 4 are very much associated with the concept of democracy. Take the example of Sakhya Bhakti. Sakhya is friendship, and friendship always needs a kind of equality. Without equality, friendship is not possible. But see how this value-loaded word bhakt has been converted into a satirical expression. Earlier, it was in 2010-11, it was used with the prefix Modi Bhakt. But now, if you use the word only Bhakt on social media, on Facebook, people will understand what you are talking about. And so, your clip, Bhakt ka chashma.
ऐसे भैया कौन कौन सा डिजाइन का चश्मा है?
अरे आमिर, शाहिद, सलमान, शाहरुख सभी प्रकार के स्टाइलिश चश्मे भैया।
अरे साहब तो पुराना हो गया भैया, कुछ नया है तो दिखाओ।
तो ये लो, भक्त का चश्मा।
भक्त का चश्मा, इसमें क्या खास है?
चल बैठ, दिखाता हूँ।
नगरी नगरी बसती है जिसमें बसती लाचारी, इस चश्मे से बस शहर दिखे जिसमें विकास हो रे। अस्पताल का हाल बुरा है, भीड़ बड़ी है भारी, इस चश्मे से उपचार सभी हाईटेक हो जाए रे। भक्त का चश्मा, भक्त का चश्मा, भक्त का चश्मा रे।
So if you observe the political advertisements, which usually frequently on everyday basis uh, come on leading newspaper with a false jacket, countless time it comes on mainstream media, news channels, entertainment channels, you will find that the world of advertisement is completely different from the world of reality or the world of democracy. And through this video, Presumer has tried to establish that Bhakt Ka Chashma simply means you should look into the reality and how it is different from the advertisement world. If you put a comment or a status on Facebook timeline, and if someone is not agree with you, they will put you some sort of uh, uh, it's a gharelu or domestic kind of emoji, and they have portrayed Bhakt in such a form कि मोदी जी को कुछ मत कहना. So initially Bhakt was called or considered with the prefix Modi Bhakt. After that, after 2014, it's only Bhakt. And for last 2-3 years, Andhbhakt is a new word on Facebook. And what is the basic difference between Modi Bhakt, Bhakt, and Anbhakt? I'll just give you the example. Abbajan is a Facebook page where you could find such status. तुम तो वादा और हम निभाते रहेंगे, नाराजगी ऐसे भी हम आते रहेंगे, जब तक नहीं आते हैं 15 लाख में, तब तक तुम्हें मोदी जी हम जिताते रहेंगे. Happy birthday, Modi ji. Such kind of prosumers are considered as Andhbhakt, a person or a prosumer who doesn't worry about the policy, government announcement, government treatment. He or she consider only one thing, that Modi is the best prime minister of this country. The second word is very much popular among those who are active on social media, secular. Secular word has derived from the word secular, and the word is originally has come from Indian Constitution. What secular word is being used by those who talks about equality, empowerment, women empowerment, and logic and rationality. This particular secular word is being used by those prosumer who are in favor of government policy. So here is a meme with a status. बेटा खुद को नास्तिक कहकर 786 नंबर का बिल्ला पहनने से ऐसे ही कुत्ते की मौत मरते हैं. These are secular, and Yogi Adityanath is not secular. He is dharmic or religious. So secular people are also known as dhongi, fake people on Facebook. And time to time, these followers or prosumer release the list of secular people. Those who are the follower of Modi or supporter of BJP government, they use some of the words frequently. Bami, and if you are the admirer of JNU or have done master or PhD from JNU, you would be entitled for one more word or phrase, Tukre Tukre Gang or Biryani Gang. So Ajit Bharti runs Op India, and see how he has used the term बामी कामी गैंग के नैरेटिव को ऐसे काटिए कि बिलबिला जाए. बामी वामपंथी नैरेटिव की ऐसे में वो कभी भी कहकर नाम ले. Here Vinay Jha has used the word चवन्नी और अठन्नी के बीच में खोटा सिक्का कौन है. So khota sikka is for Rahul Gandhi, and before 2014 Rahul Gandhi was portrayed as Pappu. So Pappu is one of the most popular word on Facebook and social media. I'll give you some more examples. Yes.
पूरे संसार को निकल जाते थे शिव जी पूरे संसार को निकल जाते थे बस यही दिखा रहे जिस जिस बेवकूफ को जिस पप्पू को ये नहीं पता कि हिंदू धर्म में शिव जी ने निकला था और क्या नहीं हिंदू धर्म पे टिप्पणियां कर रहा है. सोचिए ये तो वही बात हो गई कि मैथ्स के टीचर आज एकदम से ड्राइंग सिखाएंगे, मैथ्स के टीचर आज एसएसटी पढ़ाएंगे और मैथ्स के टीचर आज संस्कृत या उर्दू पढ़ाएंगे. कि मेरी नानी कभी के यहाँ पे किसी की मस्जिद तोड़ के नहीं सिखा सकती, लेकिन उनका दादी टीका लगा के हिंदू वोट पाने के लिए 2 मिनट में निकल जाता है, ये बताती है इनकी. और
Right. So here I just want to make it clear that these words are coming from many. There are various sources from where these words have come, and after that it have been converted into satirical expression. So the word Pappu, almost all the prominent faces of BJP leaders have used this term. I'll just give you the example.
प्रत्याशी कौन होगा? चलेगा पप्पू, नहीं बनाएंगे पप्पू को, हारने का डर लग रहा है, पप्पू को नहीं बनाएंगे.
Here I mentioned from my list that double engine is one of the most popular political terminology, which is using for last 6-7 months. I have a leading newspaper of Delhi, and see a full-page advertisement has been published. Double engine ki sarkar. Double engine means the same party will be on in center and state, right? So by the BJP government or BJP has been used in a positive term, but prosumer of social media, Facebook, they use the same term in a satirical way. These words are coming from various agencies, like through political advertisements, political speech, rallies, announcements, incidents, mainstream media, entertainment channels, film, and web series. Interestingly, some of the words are so popular not only on Facebook or social media, but political leaders also use the same term. The leading primetime news anchor use the same term. But these words don't exist in formal or official expression. Sanket Gokhale has filed RTI to the Home Ministry, Ministry of Home Affairs, and asked about the status of Tukle Tukle gang. The Home Ministry has responded what Gokhale has tweeted uh, on Twitter, that the Home Ministry has responded to my RTI saying Ministry of Home Affairs has no information concerning Tukre Tukre gang. Manyavar is a liar. The Tukre Tukre gang does not officially exist and is merely a figment of Amit Shah imagination. So some of the words are equally popular in mainstream media and political rallies and on social media, what they don't exist when it comes to the formal or official platform. Now I'll just give you some more examples of the patterns which are coming on Facebook. Some of the patterns are so popular and could be used in any time, anywhere, any way. Utho Anarkali is one of them. Wake up Anarkali. So if government increase the fuel price, series of Anarkali will come. तो अनारकली पेट्रोल भरा लेते हैं, कल इसकी कीमत बढ़ जाएगी. उठो अनारकली, मंदिर बनने जा रहा है, पूजा कर लेते हैं. उठो अनारकली, सर्जिकल स्ट्राइक हो सकता है. So this particular series, this particular expression could be used anytime. The same kind of thing, same pattern. नेहरू कितना भी बुरे क्यों ना थे, रावण कितना भी बुरा क्यों ना था. I'll just show you the video clip of that. रावण में लाख बुराई थी. Ravan has million evils, but in spite of that, रावण में लाख बुराइयां थी, लेकिन उसने लंका की रोड पर कभी कील नहीं ठोक पाई. It got farmer protest. रावण में लाख बुराइयां थी, पर उसने भी पटाव कभी नहीं कहा. Recently, 6-7 days before, Prime Minister of this country, it was a slip of tongue. He used this word, and now people had added this catchphrases with that mistake. Right. The same thing is with Nehru में लाख बुराइयां थी. Yes. So this video is in favor of Nehru, but the comments which have come on this video is completely different from the content.
जिम्मेदार है क्योंकि उन्होंने इस हिंदुस्तान की आजाद हवा में सांस लेने का सपना देखा. इस देश की आजादी के लिए 9 बार में 3095 दिन में काटे. लेकिन तुम्हें क्या पता.
See, here one of the prosumers has put an comment. चाचा जी में लाख बुराइयां थी. चिचा ने कभी पटाखों पर बैन नहीं लगाया क्योंकि चिचा खुद फुलझड़ियों के शौकीन थे. It's so interesting that the person who has commented here disliked Nehru and is a follower of RSS, but he at the same time is in favor of Nehru when it's come to the issue of crackers ban, right? Because it has been established that if you are against crackers or patake, you are anti-Hindu. Crackers are now associated with a ritual of Hindu dharma. I'll just mention here some more patterns and traits, and then we'll conclude the presentation and discussion. Satire in the form of storytelling.
क्या देख रही जी? व्हाट्सएप तनक देख रहे. व्हाट्सएप पे अरे वो आदित्य भाई साहब को मैसेज आओ करना उसे. बे कब करत हैं का हैं? बेकाऊ की सुध लेते बिना मतलब ही. अरे जी वही तो हम सोच रहे थे. काल तो देखो बिना सुध आ गई नहीं. अच्छा आओ काल बिन को फोन हुआ भाई साहब को. हमने कही कि आप जी के कैसे फोन कर रहा है. सब राजी खुशी हैं. अरे काय की राजी खुशी. अरे वो विकास को ठंड में पकड़ लाओ. विकास को खाओ. विकास को के कैसे पकड़ लो. वो निकरत तो है नहीं. कब निकाल है नहीं है बिन्ने में सेंध के धरे हैं.
Now, when mess up is one of the most popular and a prominent way of genre of expressing satire and convert the serious content into a satirical expression.
तो मुझे पता है कि व्यक्ति इस देश को बचा सके. पूरे देश में सिर्फ एक व्यक्ति ऐसे हमारे देश को बचा सके. मोदी जी बचा सकते हैं. कृपया करके अपने पद से इस्तीफा दे दें तो हमारा देश बच जाएगा. मोदी जी
One more pattern, Duggal Sahab series. So I just want to add here, when you will look into the classical form of satirical expression and political complaints, most of the cartoonist writer have considered only the political decisions, political issues and content, government policies. But now almost all those all those circuit and pockets are a part of political satires and complaints. It's only because of that political leaders and parties, they themselves have included all these things for their political enhancement, right? I still remember an article which was published in Open, and if I'm not wrong, it was 2013. And magazine has published an article with a attire of Narendra Modi and how he will look when he will just stand in front of Rashtrapati Bhavan, how he will look when he will stand in front of India Gate. So now sunglasses, watch, kurta, pajama, bandi, and everything is a part of satirical expression. That's why I have just came across a series of Dugal Sahab, Facebook prosumer, who makes the series of Dugal Sahab, and Dugal Sahab uh, is being used for Narendra Modi himself, but meanwhile, Dhruv Rathi is one of the most popular YouTuber of this country. People use the same term for Dhruv Rathi. Duggal Sahab it symbolizes for a failure man, right? And if prosumer who dislike or who are not agree with government policy, they pretend they try to establish Narendra Modi as a failure man. And Dugal Sahab has come from a Bollywood film. It's a Bollywood film character. So I'll just take 5 to 10 minutes more. So political expressions and and the content of rallies, content of political advertisements, a major part of political advertisements, speeches are coming from Bollywood or entertainment industry. So at the same time, prosumer use those content satirical expression. Here you could see Rajesh Yadav is talking about uh, Kisan or farmers bill and all, but he had used a screenshot of a film. मैं तो तेरे को, I don't want to use this word. You could see easily here. Uh, गजब बेइज्जती है. Again, it's from Panchayat, a web series. Jumla, how Padmavati, the name of the film Padmavati, has been altered or converted into Jumlavati. So major part of satire and political complaints contents are coming from entertainment industry. Here, I just want to mention Piyush Pandey, who has designed the Modi campaign in 2014. Uh, in his book, Pandemonium, he has discussed in detail that how Ab Ki Baar Modi Sarkar is completely designed and the format is almost same, the format of Vodafone Jojo advertisement series, like, and he has discussed that how he realized and did lot of research that it is not possible that during 2020 cricket cricket series, if political advertisement between this commercial audience will accept it. No, people will not accept political advertisement during cricket commentary. So it's quite necessary to convert the political advertisement with the same texture and flavor, same kind of expression. So now, what the Vodafone Jojo series, and I have the report, I have the analysis that it was a rare to the rarest uh, um, advertisement series. People were waiting to just see, just to watch the commercial in spite of comment. Otherwise, it's a normal tendency we switch over the channel commercial comes on television. But JoJo series is the rarest to the rarest commercial people were eagerly waiting just to watch more and more Jojo Vodafone series. So ab ki baar Modi Sarkar is completely based on Vodafone Jojo series, what Piyush Pandey has described and discussed in his book. If you will look into that pattern of political advertisement, political rallies, speeches which are delivered by the political personalities, the motherland of these contents are entertainment industry. Because all of a sudden you can't change the taste and temperament of the viewer. Citizens, people are not a voter only. At the same time, they are the viewer of television. They are viewer of Sas Bahu Saga, reality show. They are the reader, and the content and the flavor of those contents are not similar to the content of political rallies or speeches. Sometimes political rallies and speeches are so dull and boring. But now these people, these personalities are trying to make it more interesting. So once you will try to convert your rallies, your speeches, and you have a great competition with entertainment industry, obviously prosumer will accept these things at the same level. So if you will see how it goes, and you are very much excited to use this term from a Hindi Bollywood cinema Uri, obviously the same pattern prosumer will follow. At the end of the discussion, at the end of this presentation, I just want to add one more thing here. Whatever I have read uh, novels, Hindi literature, English literature, or satire and political complaints were used just to improve the scenario of the democratic or the demography of the country. From the very beginning, it was a part of the voice of dissent. But now, satirical expressions and political complaints are not being used just as a dissent voice. The opposition. There are lots of terms and conditions, business strategy of revenue are embedded with. So one could say that satirical expressions and political complaints and its contents are are embedded form of social media business, entertainment, click but strategy, and with a great competition with entertainment industry itself. I'll just give you one more example, which is very much popular these days in Indian diaspora, and people mm, are trying to follow such content because it's not very much popular. At the same time, has the possibility how to generate revenue through it.
अरे बाबा के दरबार बा खत्म रोजगार बा हाथ रस के निर्णय जो हत लड़की के परिवार बा अरे का बा यूपी में का बा कोरोना से लाखन मर गईले लासन से गंगा भर गईले कोरोना से लाखन मर गईले लासन से गंगा भर गईले टिकठिया का फन्नो चत कुकुर बिलार बा है बाबा बाबा यूपी में का मंत्री के बेटवा बड़ी रंगदार बा मंत्री के बेटवा बड़ी रंगदार बा किसानन के छाती पे रौंदत मोटर कार बा ए चौकीदार बोला.
So the word chokidar Prime Minister of this country, he himself has used several times, and he has changed the DP of his Twitter account and officially has declared Chaukidar campaign, which is known as Main Chaukidar. And all of a sudden, the followers of BJP Narendra Modi have changed their DP as well. As I told you, it's not the matter of decent voice, and if you are a voter, you are a citizen of this country, you have the right to express your viewpoint. Same time, it's the matter of uh, revenue, is the matter of your own commercial or professional successful, right? So if you will go through the YouTube or Facebook, you will find countless reels and video clips are there. Just the last one.
बाबा के दरबार बा खत्म रोजगार बा यूपी में का। जी हाँ, ये वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है। जी हाँ, ये वीडियो वायरल हो रहा है। नेहा सिंह राठौर सिंगर है जिन्होंने ये वीडियो बनाया है, जिसमें ये गाती हुई दिखाई दे रही हैं। मुझे खैर प्रोफेशनल सिंगर तो नहीं लगी, मैंने इनका पूरा चैनल विजिट किया, लेकिन कहते हैं कि वायरल होने के लिए जो टॉपिक इस समय चल रहा हो या जिस रिसर्च सबसे ज्यादा चल रही हो, बस उसी पे वीडियो बना दो, कुछ अच्छा बोल दो, कुछ बहुत ही बुरा बोल दो और वायरल हो जाओ। और नेहा सिंह राठौर ने
she has uh, 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 she has criticized Neha Singh Rathore, but she is trying to do the same thing. At least she will gain some more hits on Facebook. Recently, as I told you earlier, that how the applicant for Indian Railway has have protested in Uttar Pradesh and a major part of Bihar is a classical example when it comes to the context of satiric expression. You will find there are only 3, 4 photos, images, and 1.5 minute running video footage, and prosumer have used almost all those words and catchphrases what I have discussed earlier. So visuals are same, 2 or 3 visuals, but they have used all those expressions and words. What I want to mention here is earlier, earlier 3 or 4 years earlier, it was too easy for us to categorize these words that these are used for BJP followers and Narendra Modi followers, and these are the words which are used for secular, liberal, or people who who believe in anti-establishment and disagree with Narendra Modi government and policy. But right now, it has become so complicated and it is almost impossible to follow the same way what we were following earlier. Suppose, I'll just give you the example. Abba Jan is one of them. Abba Jan, the word is used for those who always talk about secularism, who always talks about that Hindu, Muslim, all the religions are same and they have the equal right to, to be here and act as a citizen. They have the right to ask anything. So those who have faith in secularism, use for them Abba Jan is being used. Even the Chief Minister of Uttar Pradesh, Yogi Adityanath, recently has used this word for Mulayam Singh Yadav. Akhilesh Yadav has declared that when his government will come into the power, its party will come into the power, he will restore the pension scheme. And Yogi Adityanath has said that Akhilesh Yadav is talking about the restoration of pension scheme. His father Mulayam Singh Yadav was the chief minister who cancelled this scheme. So obviously, you think that Abba Jan is for those who has faith in secularism. But on social media, Abba Jan, an independent page, Abba Jan is for those who are in favor of Muslims, who are in favor of secularism, but at the same time are in favor of Modi government policy. And Bhakt Ke Abba Jan is one more page there, where they condemned, they criticized the content which are coming on Abba Jan. So it's too early to formalize all these things, but at the end of the presentation, I just want to add and comment that if a particular word is coming from a particular political party, the opposition or the prosumer who are against this political party always try to puncture, burst, and discredit that word. Double engine word, it carries heavy investment. BJP is trying to make it popular among the voters with heavy investment. And on a lighter note, I just want to add taxpayer itself a satirical expression on Facebook. So the amount which is being invested in those advertisements are also the amount is coming from taxpayer, right? So double engine is not a political expression only. It's an expression with heavy investment. And those who disagree with government policy, their prime concern is to discredit this word. So if something goes wrong in Uttar Pradesh, people use, in spite of having double engine sarkar, right? So one by one, these words which are used as political, as a satirical expressions are becoming so complicated, are being used by both kind of people in everyday practice, in their everyday domestic life, that you can't describe in a flat way, right? It could be said, and what are the ways? Yes, please, ma'am. How will analyze these things, these words, these satirical expressions, these catchphrases? These are used in forms of hashtag, in forms of pages, in forms of posts, in forms of memes. I personally observe and feel that once you collect all these words, it would be easier for us to study in the context of satirical expressions and complaints. Thank you so much. You all listened so patiently, and I don't know, it was not a structured paper, but anyway, thanks a lot to all of you.
Thank you, Vineet. That was absolutely fantastic. I haven't actually laughed as much as I did this time in any of the presentations before, so that was fantastic. I have a couple of questions to kick off with while I'll be looking out for hands, and also I'm really hoping that Ravikant and Chalapati will speak after me, because they've been piping up very helpfully, I think, and interestingly on the sidelines here in the chat. So one question is, have you come, I mean, I found the flip between the very earnest use of the word pakt, both sort of over time, but presumably still there are people who do use it earnestly, or there are contexts in which it's still used earnestly, right? A Modi Pakt meaning, a devotee, a real follower, as opposed to a blind believer, right, which is the ironic use. So are there clashes that you've come across between the ironic and the earnest use of the term pakt, for instance, or other terms as well? Are there moments where people are offended when they are talking about themselves as being pakts, while others online or offline are talking about them as being blinded and to reality? Also, just a very small historical question: is it possible to trace the origins of the term papu, right? And is Rahul the first person? It's really, he's very famously referred to as Papu, and it's sort of taken off. But were there other politicians before him that were and is it from a film? There's several films that I understand sort of have used it in the 90s. Anyway, those are.
Yes, sometime earlier people were offended when you say someone bhakt or andhbhakt, but now the scenario has completely changed. I'll just give you the example of Panna Pramukh, right? So initially, when you say a person who is follower of BJP, that you are Panna Pramukh, and this particular word has been used in the context of mainstream media journalists who are in favor of Modi government. So they were called as Panna Pramukh. But after that, BJP itself has launched a complete campaign, Main Bhi Panna Pramukh. And sorry, I didn't show you that clip where Amit Shah has declared that my ambition is to increase the number of Panna Pramukh, and it could be more than 20 lakhs. So initially, some of the words they took it in a very bad way if you use bhakt and bhakt. But I think I'm not sure. I have to read a lot with this context. But once it has been established that those who are followers of Narendra Modi or BJP could be considered as bhakt or andhbhakt, so now they just express in a reverse way that yes, I am bhakt, and what's wrong in it? Yes, I'm secular, what's wrong in it?
Mm-hmm.
And not only the acceptance, but at the same time, some of the campaigns are being launched with these words.
Mm-hmm.
Your second question, Papu, I have no further study. I didn't study a lot about how Papu the term was used in politics. But yes, I know in public domain, in public sphere, Pappu means a dumb, a duffer. Pappu can't dance sala. And when you will go through the song, Jane Na Jane Tu, I think Bollywood song, Pappu carries Rado watch, Pappu has lots of money, Pappu spends his holiday in France, Pappu has many friends, Pappu is so rich, but in spite of that Pappu naach nahi sakta. Right? So
whatever the historical origin, it's associated with the Papu can't dance.
Some of the literature they say that the Rajdeep Sardesai is the first one who has used the term in context. In context of bhakt, and some of the literature they say that Navjot Singh Sidhu was the first political personality who has used the term Papu for Rahul Gandhi, but I'm not sure.
Right.
Yes.
I mean, I think what's really interesting here is that insults have shades, right? Dumb. There are different kinds of dumb. Here, it's dumb that's infantile, inchoate. It's a very particular kind of incapacity. It's someone who's not capable of doing stuff, despite um, all the riches and all the connections, all the resources to hand, right? In a sense, someone who never grew up. So I think that's the kind of thing, this sort of concept that would be really good to finesse by tracing the use, because it's so widely used that in a sense.
And in context to suppose you want to say that you have cheated me, then you will say तुमने मुझे पप्पू बनाया. So more or less, pappu is used in terms of foolishness or dumb, or in a incapability, to express the incapability of a person.
Yeah, and of course that is the other side. I mean, it's a sort of structural opposite of what a good leader would be, right? So that's the important thing, that when we try to trace these terms I mean, and I think terms of abuse are extremely useful because people use them much more widely, they're much more nuanced, but from which we can derive what would be desirable.
Jiska ma'am has asked an interesting question, that more difficult to own pappu, but it's quite surprising that in Parliament Rahul Gandhi has accepted it and said that call me pappu, hate me, I don't have any problem, but I'll not hate you. And after that, he hugged Narendra Modi in Parliament. So he himself has accepted that there's nothing wrong if you call me pappu.
Right. Earlier on, Chalapati asked a question about the Deepika Padukone meme, right? Is it pro or anti-BJP? That's quite interesting, that it's really difficult. Chalapati, could you step into?
Yeah, please. Thank you so much, Vineet. Very fascinating. If you can communicate the fun in Hindi to a non-Hindi speaker like me, then it's a real achievement. What strikes me immediately is that political scientists or contemporary observers who neglect social media can do so only at their own peril. It's not adequate to read edit page articles, serious articles in Caravan to understand contemporary political discourse in India. It is very, very important to look at social media. I think that is the biggest takeaway. The second thing that is most striking is that I want to use a Nehruvian expression, there is unity in diversity. The social media, how it operates in various Indian languages, at least I follow Tamil carefully, and also one or two other languages through exchanges and sharing. See, there is great amount of diversity, but there is also great amount of unity. The tropes occur across languages, but with their own inflection. You spent a lot of time on the term Bhakt. In Tamil, they use the term Bhakta, but the big difference is that Bhakt, Anastasia raised a question whether it can cut both ways, right? It can be a pious follower or a blind devotee. But the way it is inflected in Tamil, Bhaktal, it can be only derisive. So these kind of inflections happen and are possible. But I think the biggest challenge in trying to understand this discourse is that it is so ephemeral in the original etymological sense of the term. It is almost for the day that it's very difficult to understand it after a passage of time. From my own experience, you find that Facebook reminds you about your past posts in the earlier years, right? It reminds you of earlier posts. Sometimes I find that I am unable to comprehend some of the memes that I have shared 4 or 5 years ago. I really have to think very deeply to figure out what was it that I had tried to communicate through the sharing of a meme, because it is so contextual. Of course, certain things like 15 lakhs, Pappu, or Chaukidar, or Pakoda, or Chai, these have, have semantic value, symbolic value for nearly 7-8 years. But there are so many other memes which do not make sense after a point in time. But I also want to, the question is a real question that I want an answer to. I couldn't figure out what was the message of the Deepika Padukone meme. Is it, God save us, or is it to be taken literally as a reverential gesture towards Modi ji, or is it said God save us, we have given up? So these kind of nuances are very contextual, which don't travel across languages or times. So Vineet, thank you once again for what is a very fascinating thing. It's the beginning of what I would say would be a very, very, very rich and insightful study. Thank you.
Thank you, Venkat Chalapati, for the comment, and you have asked about why it has been used in Padmavati as Jumlavati. I didn't mention, and it's my fault, that most of the time, if you have to defend someone, if you have to discredit someone, and if you have to establish that this particular person is incapable, most of the time I have observed that they use female character. So female character simply means least important, incapable, and I have done a little bit on this perspective, feminism and social media. So here the same thing has been repeated. But more important question has come from from Uday Chandra, but should we not go back to older ideas of bhakti that are not mocking bhakts? Obviously, definitely. And you are talking, Uday, you are talking about Sagun Bhakti. And what I have learned from Sagun Bhakti was not just to follow the God. Most of the time, they were very much differ from their own belief. Hanuman Bahu is one of the best example of it. Who was the who is the greatest follower of Rama? Obviously, Tulsidas has written Ramcharitmanas, but at the same time, he has written Hanuman Bahu, and Hanuman Bahu is not about Hanumana only. It's more about Rama, where he says that Ram is the goddess of god of this earth, and he can do anything. And I'm in trouble, and he is not doing anything. So Bhakt doesn't mean only all the time he or she will follow his or her god or goddess. He or she has the equal right to criticize, to complain. So you're completely right, and Ravikant sir has asked, I think, the same question. Hanuman Bahuk, yes, Hanuman Bahuk. Even in Nirgun Bhakti, there is a concept of God or the divine power. Kabir has used Ram. At the same time, he has criticized a lot. So in Bhakti movement, there is possibility to criticize their own god or goddess. But here, Bhakt, you can't imagine that a Bhakt will criticize. So you can say that the meaning of these words are shrinking day by day, though it's fulfill the desire of satirical expression of someone. Yes, Srinivas, please.
Thanks, Vineet. This is fantastic material, and finding interesting parallels between some of the points you're making and some of my problems, my research questions. With specific reference to the idea of bhakt, and if you want to take it in the direction of, let's say, the devotee sort of complaining, or the devotee as a kind of an entitled subject, saying that I'm entitled to your attention, I'm entitled to something back from you. It's an intermediate figure here who perhaps you don't come across very often, but we do in southern India, who is the fan, right? And there is also some discussion on the fan as a devotee. The fan as in, fan clubs of film stars and that kind of fan. And what's interesting is some of the points that are being made about the Modi Bhakt as an excessive kind of figure, as a mindless devotee of the political leader. The language of critique that's deployed to talk about the Modi Bhakt is something we've heard a lot with reference to fan clubs in the South. These are people who can't think for themselves. They're easily fooled by this star or the star politician and so on. So you may just want to look at some of the discussion that's been happening. Madhav Prasad, for instance, has an interesting article called Fan Bhakti. It's in EPW, you can easily find it. So he there talks about actually the figure of the devotee as a figure who is making demands on the icon. Except, of course, he's talking about Rajinikanth. He's not talking about politicians. The essay was written more than 10 years ago, before we had Modi on the national stage. The next, actually, I wanted to draw attention more to your method, than, one is you identified a set of words which you listed, as occurring. So these, how did you get them? How did you identify these? Is it just your experience, or did you use some kind of a tool like a program or something to extract these words? The second is that you have used, the user. You talked about the prosumer. Couple of things to be careful with. One is that, for instance, Neha is not really, a common internet user like an ordinary internet user like me who goes there.
Are you talking about Neha Dixit?
No, Neha, the folk singer, Neha Rathod.
Neha Singh.
She's obviously a celebrity of sorts, right? As against, say, someone who's got like 200 or 100 Twitter followers and is nevertheless doing all kinds of things, including greeting leaders on their birthdays and also saying follow me back, begging them to follow them back and so on. So I think you may want to make those distinctions, plus the distinctions between, it's very difficult, I'm not saying it's easy, the distinctions between what you might, between, agencies that are paid to do certain political work. We're calling them IT cell and so on and so forth, but the whole range of intermediate agencies and content producers who have a career in going viral. Who have to go viral because there is a revenue out there. They have. Even if there's no revenue now, they want to become social media influencers and make money out of that. So a lot of these people today have actually gone and joined political campaigns, right? Or they see that also as a career. So there is. And of course, when you talk about media, you're talking about all of this stuff. You're talking about people making money. You're talking about manipulation. You're talking about amplification of different kinds and so on. So I think so. You're absolutely right, and in drawing attention to the fact that without the media, there's no politics today. Telepathy also sort of reinforced that point. It is all about media. And in fact, now difficult to figure out actually, where is the space for people to talk about, rosy roti and stuff like that? Where is that space? If at all, that is, I'm sure it is, but
Facebook,
it appears that there is no space for all of that in the media. It's all about Papu and, Modi and hum do, hamare do, kind of, everybody is making fun of everybody else and everybody is faking news and stuff. So okay, in brief, okay, one, do pay more attention to your method, especially when we're talking about what kind of user is generating the content, and it may be very difficult. It will be, in fact, a very important contribution on your part if you're able to, based on familiarity with the material, to be able to make this gradation between different kinds of users who are all in the same business. I mean, who all at the end of the day amplifying the same message or similar messages. And the second is, what what tools do we have beyond our own experience, our own observation, to maybe track hashtags or trends and so on and so forth.
Okay, thank you, Srinivas. Thanks for the observation and some valid points you have made up. You are asking about the methodology and tools to find out this expression. So actually, I'm active on Facebook from the very beginning, and what I observed that it seems that it's a kind of, it's a kind of vague, it's a kind of complicated platform. Initially, you're right. Initially, it was a platform to express and to just active here as for the comic relief. If you are fed up with your regular routine and jobs, so you usually come here and put some comment, put some material. But now, if you will put a comment, a simple neutral comment, in spite of that, people will add some more comment, and that will go into the politics or the political satire. The methodology or the tools which I use to find out these words, it should be it's a kind of cross media readership pattern. I'm not completely dependent upon social media to find out, to do research work on social media. Lots of things are coming from mainstream media. See, double engine. I know double engine is being used for satirical expression on social media, but at the same time, the same political party is using and is spending lots of money to make it popular through commercial or through mainstream media. So one methodology which I use is cross media readership, and the second one is most of the things are available with hashtag. So if you are familiar with hypertext, it would be easier for for us to find out these content. And the third one is initially it looked that there's so many things are going on social media, but slowly I found and came into the conclusion, I might be wrong, that words are limited and words are very much dependent upon mainstream media, political rallies and speeches. And these words are being used by the prosumer or the Facebook user frequently. So I think 200, 220, 30 out of 200 words are used for each and every expression. One more thing you said that a chunk of the people are active on social media and they are working as a party worker. They are working for for bread and butter. Yeah, it's true. But today I focus only on the status contents which are being spread by the people. Obviously they are coming from IT cell. Most of the content they are coming through the YouTuber. Viral contents are coming through social media influencer, right? But in spite of that, if a prosumer, if a independent social media practitioner is sharing those contents, they are adding they are adding their some own words. And I was just looking for those contents which were shared by an individual, how they use these words, how they try to twist, how they try to convert this content into again a satirical expression. Right? So I think I just try to make something clear, and I'll do a lot on it. This is, as I said earlier, it's the initial and primary kind of practice what I have done.
I do think it is right to pay attention to the density of use, you know, and I think that is, in a sense, it seems a simple-minded tool, but when you start picking up in a sort of in the way, and it would be really interesting to hear about, could you tell us a little bit about how you came up with the word cloud and what exactly you did to establish the number, you know, the density of use in a given context, and how did you define sort of the sphere of use, and within that you've decided that that's, did you use software, were you doing it manually, or, you know, both?
No, what I made SoundCloud, it's just through software, and it's sorry, it's not based on research work. Software automatically converts those words which are frequently used with a larger font and accordingly. But if you will go into the setup of Facebook, and you will search those content, the best way is to search it through hashtag, right? So if you type the word bhakt with hash, then obviously you will find a clear picture of that. And one more thing, these words are mostly have been used in Hindi. I was just talking about Hindi writing. So I typed those words in Hindi Devanagari. And if you will type in Roman and English, you may not find these content.
Also, of course, there is a real difference between hashtag words and words that come up as people reply, you know, that they are not consciously singling out. And I think it is important to make a distinction between the two, and to start thinking about the hashtag words, also important, right? But also ones used in passing without sort of conscious rhetorical attention paid.
Yes, and I did the same thing. I used the same word without hashtag, and I found different content. So what I have observed, most of the people still today, they don't use hashtag. They just post independent post or independent content. So in that case, if some particular word is so popular, like Bami Kami, just type Bami Kami and you will find content. And Bami Kami is used for those secular people. So and what I was just trying to say, that the setup or the layout of Facebook, the best way is to understand the layout and setup and the facilities, technical facilities, what kind of facilities are being provided by Facebook. Once we understand the layout of the Facebook, it would be easier for us to do some more research work in the context to satirical expression. So layout, understanding of layout is equally important.
Yeah, can you pipe up, because you've just said something interesting, that there's an entire new syntax with and without hashtags. Can you, Uday, could you expand a little bit on that?
Yeah, I was wondering, as you were speaking, Vineet, you know, it struck me that there seems to be, like, you know, with or without hashtags, without, you know, various people being tagged, right? There are, because, you know, we see posts with and without, but there seems to be a whole kind of syntax, not grammar, but syntax in terms of, and, you know, some of the tools of, say, linguistics or linguistic anthropology actually can be quite useful for thinking about the modes of address and the way in which speech then is encoded into a specific syntax in order to derive new forms of meaning from what may be very humdrum words, or words that we see very frequently in everyday life. But they acquire a new meaning precisely because of the new syntax.
Yes.
Yes, that's
Is
That's
that,
very
that,
Yeah, can I come in here? Sorry.
Please, sir, please.
Because I have to, if it is not getting too late.
yeah. I was hoping. I was really hoping you'd close in on us.
No, just to add to, you have already got very good comments, you know. This new syntax, what is it made up of? How does time work here, right? How does memory work here? It's, you know, memory and counter memory, virality and counter virality. It's a different kind of time we are talking about, and a different kind of economy and different kind of labor we are talking about when we are talking about this social media business. And we need to actually get into all that and analyze all that very carefully. Thanks a lot, Vineet. I enjoyed it, and you got very good comments. Thanks.
Thank you, sir.
We're starting to lose people because it's getting very late in India. So I think we better, unless Vineet, you have any closing remarks, I think we better disperse at this stage and reconvene in a fortnight's time. And thank you so much, Vineet. This was really, really exciting. And just so much of our work will be moving more online than it would have done 3 years ago, so
thank you so much. I just want to add one more thing, and the last one. This presentation is the beginning of my research work, and it has provoked me to do some more good work. And obviously I'll consider all these valuable comments, and I'll look into the theory of memory and counter memory, and the methodology of syntax linguistic in the context of linguistic study. Thank you so much.
And perhaps you can give us a masterclass at one point to the entire team about how you are capturing different densities of words and things like that online. So thank you again, and stay tuned.